Hi, I'm Diane Nelson. Welcome to Meet the Candidate of Harrison Township 2020. This project is a joint effort between myself as the Senior Center Coordinator and Melissa Goins, the Library Director for Harrison Township. The program is designed to bring information to the voters of Harrison Township about the people who currently serve the township and others from our community who want to. The library nor the Senior Center endorses any candidates. The only goal of this project is to provide voters with information.
We are talking to Bill Servial, candidate for trustee. Tell us about yourself, Bill.
Well, I've lived in Harrison Township since 1978, and I have a wife and two boys, adult boys, and we've been married 45 years. I was a builder for 45 years, and I'm retired now. Therefore, I can give a little bit more time back to the community, but I've been giving to the community since I'm told just recently, 2002, my first position was on the cable committee, and I'm still the chairman of the cable committee. Served on zoning board of appeals for 12 or 14 years, served on housing the full time that it actually was in operation. And I've attended meetings for at least 20 years. I'm a conservative Republican. I'm currently serving finishing out at my first term as an elected official. And as I said, I've been an appointed person for a number of different positions. I think pulling a blank here on what else I should be saying. But as I said, I'm a conservative. I try to protect the taxpayers' dollars. Sometimes we butt heads because of that. The difference of opinion at the board level. We could get into that more later on if we'd like to.
All right, my next question. What originally prompted you to run for trustee?
Well, there's a number of reasons. I've run for trustee before. Back in 2004, I ran. There was a big shake-up then, and I was upset with the way things were going. Unfortunately, there was like 20 candidates for 7 positions, and I didn't make the primary. And then in 2011, I ran for supervisor. I wasn't going to. I was going to run for trustee, but something just triggered me. I don't want to get into why, but I did run, and I unfortunately didn't win that position either. But in 16, I decided that people knew me well enough. I had enough people prompting me. Being involved that I have been in baseball. My sons attended school here. Their whole school career was at L'Anse Creuse Public Schools. And I was involved in scouting, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, recreation baseball, plus the varsity sports. And I was a builder here for 45 years. I did quite a few homes and additions in Harrison Township and surrounding areas. So I know a lot of people, and they encouraged me. They're still encouraging me. I was vacillating whether I should run again or not. I'm 76 years old. I know I don't look it. White hair has been there since I was 30, but I feel pretty good, and I think I got another term left in me. And I think that somebody needs to be the check and balance. Right now, the board is such that there's a clique there. I can't think of another word for it. And they usually vote together, and there's usually a 5-2 vote with the treasurer and myself being the odd people out. Some of the latest ones were a vote to pay for part of the paving of a county road, Jefferson to be exact, from 994 down to St. Clair Shores borders. The original time that was put on the agenda for resurfacing was 3 years ago. It was supposed to be done this year. And at that time, the county told us they would pay 50% and we would have to pay 50%. We didn't get into the semantics of that because it was 3 years down the road. In the interim, there was a grant acquired for 80% of the road pavement from the federal government the county, instead of having to pay 50%, only has to pay 20, and they still came along, told us they wanted us to pay after 20. I voted no, and that was an unpopular vote. It was 5-2 again. I also voted no against an SAD that was placed on the people without their vote for a drainage issue for $880,000 for a stormwater pump on 16 Mile and North Point Parkway. I was the odd man out, as was the treasurer on that vote also. So it seems as though I have a difference of opinion on when things should be paid for by the general fund and when they should be an SAD. I also voted last year, early last year, when the lake level started coming up, I voted immediately to declare an emergency and to provide free sand and sandbags to the people. And the only ones that benefit are the people that are on the water, but I felt that was the right thing to do. So going back to those other two things that I've already mentioned, I thought that the general fund should have paid for those too. And that's the difference between myself and the people that currently serve and the people that are running right now against me.
All right, Bill, you touched a little bit on this, but let me ask, what do you see as general concerns in the township, and how do you plan to address them?
Well, general concerns, I mentioned quite a bit about the Department of Roads. I call it Road Commission, they're now Department of Roads. I see a problem with drainage, and I live on a street that the township paid for half of the resurfacing, but they put 1-inch asphalt probably 6-7 years ago, I'm guessing. And at that time, I stood at the podium and said, don't do it if you don't take care of drainage. They said there was no money for drainage, so they did it. And if you drive down the road, you can see the condition of it. So I don't know what we do to try to convince the Department of Roads to do their job. They have a statutory duty to enforce their rules and regulations, and they don't do that. People enclose ditches. They put curbing along an edge when there's a ditch. There's any number of problems, but the biggest problem is that we need a master plan for drainage, and I brought that up even before I got elected 3.5 years ago, and I brought it up a couple of times since then, but there's always some fire to put out, so it never gets done. That's something that I think is very important for the community. And also, as long as 20 years ago, we talked about with a previous supervisor of paying to have the whole township surveyed to get an elevation in front of every road, or in front of every house, I mean, in order to accomplish two things. It may take them out of the floodplain. They're going to not have to pay flood insurance. And the second thing would be for drainage, you need to know which way to run the water. And the only way you can do that is you have to have 25,000 points. And that would give them that. That fell on deaf ears also. That's something I'd like to see happen. There's others too, but that's a good start.
All right, tell me about your involvements. What are your involvements in community affairs? Okay,
well, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I'm a life member at Walter F. Bruce Post down in St. Clair Shores, and I'm doing quite a bit of work. We have a problem down there with the lake waters, just like we have here in Harrison Township. And just this week, for the last 4 days, we've raised our grade. Instead of using sandbags, we're using concrete blocks that are called bin blocks. We just installed 82 4-foot long blocks and used 150 tons of crushed concrete as a base for that. And I was the point man. I'm the one that hired all the people and made all the arrangements. It's not our community, but it's a community, veterans community. I'm also involved in American Legion Post 4, which is over by the county jail. And I'm involved in Vietnam Veterans of America Post 154. My wife is a Lance Cruise School Board member. I helped her get elected. Now it's 6 years ago. And of course, I attend the meetings and I talk to people. I'm out and about, talk to people all the time. I get stopped no matter where I go. I saw you on cable TV. I might be at Meijer, I might be at Aldi. No matter where I am, somebody stops me and talks to me. So as I said, I just spent a half hour talking to someone from Brigantine Estates because they want to get WOW cable TV in there, and WOW is telling them they have no plans to run wire in their subdivision. So I told them I would check into it. This is what I do. I'm the only one that I know of that actually put their own personal cell phone number on their campaign literature in 2016. I can show you a piece of it if you don't believe me. I put my cell phone number and my private email too.
Well, thank you, Bill. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
So this is the last question?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would simply add this, without being too malicious. I would say that the decision here is really quite simple. If you like the status quo, then vote for those 7 people that are in the back page of the Journal newspaper. Those are the 7 people that most of them didn't have a problem with medical marijuana people talking to us at one of these Zoom meetings when nobody's really attending and trying to slip in a vote at that meeting. And I raised so much cane about it, and then 2 other trustees jumped in. The end result was 2 days later, we actually did have a meeting, a special meeting to approve things for them. I knew this was going to happen, but I wanted it to wait until there were some people that have been, they're speculators for lack of better terminology, and I wanted those gone because there's too many people that we're entertaining permits for. They haven't obtained the permits. They haven't even tried to get the permits. They just pay a $5,000 fee. And I believe that's the reason why some of the board members are in favor of it, because we're generating money. And that's fine, but I might add, we're the first and only, I believe, community in Macomb County to opt in to recreational marijuana. We're the guinea pigs. We have something in there that I believe is going to get us in trouble. One of the clauses. I don't think I should get into why I think that, because I'm not an attorney. But it's just a total difference of opinion. I could do better things. And like I said, I'm 76 years old, but I feel that if I don't get reelected, that things are going to be worse because of it.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Bill, and thank you for telling us about yourself. And also thank you for your service to our country and offering to serve in our community.
All right. And I'm still offering to serve. So
Indeed.
I would appreciate anyone that would vote for me, but if you don't want to vote for me, at least make sure you go out and do vote. With that, I'd say goodbye.
I'm Melissa Goins. Thank you for tuning in to meet the candidates of Harrison Township 2020. Don't forget to vote at the polls on August 4th and November 3rd, or with an absentee ballot. All voting information for Harrison Township can be found at htvotes.com. That's HT for Harrison Township, votes.com.